Hello and welcome to this lecture, and in this lecture we are mainly going to focus on this particular image button right here. So the first thing which we will do is that we will go ahead, add some image to it, and the next thing which we will do is that we will go ahead and make this button functional. So what I have done here is that I have downloaded an image from the internet. So let me just show you guys this image. So this is what the image looks like. So this image actually prompts the user to basically click it, so that when the user hits this button or this image right here, it's actually going to open up the gallery activity wherein the user is going to be able to select the image of his choice. So what you could do is that you could download some similar type of image and make sure that the image is going to be of the type PNG. So after downloading the image, you just have to copy the image and go to the resources or the drawable folder, paste it right over here and hit OK. So once we have this image, let me just go ahead and add that image over here. So in order to set up this image to the button, what you could do is that you could type in background and you can set this to add drawable, and that is going to be the add image. So add drawable / add image. And as you could see, now we have the image over here. So as you could see, this actually looks quite unusual because the width and the height is not set properly. So what you could do is that you could set up the width to wrap content and the height to wrap content as well. So when you do that, as you could see, now we have the image in its original height and width, and you could also readjust the margin a little bit so that this thing is aligned to center. So what you can do is that you could type in margin, which is margin left is going to be, let's say 30 dp, or let's say 50 dp. That would be better. So as you could see, now the image is aligned to the center. So the next thing which you need to do is that you also need to define the onClick method for this image so that we could write in some code in there. So we will type in onClick equals, let's say image button clicked. So when this button is clicked, we want to start the gallery activity. So we go in the post activity right here, and in this activity we define the button click method. So let's go ahead and create the method, which is image button clicked. So we will type in public void image button clicked, and let's pass it in some view. That is going to be view. So the first thing which you need to do here is that you need to start the gallery intent. So we'll type in intent gallery intent equals, and that is going to be new intent, and to this intent you pass in intent dot action get content. So this basically allows you to get the content. And now what we do is that we type in gallery intent dot set type, that is we set the type of this thing to let's say image / star. And once this thing is done, we start the activity for result. So start activity for result, and to this we pass in the gallery intent first, and then you need to pass in the request code. So let me just go ahead and quickly define the request code here. So I'm going to type in private static final int, and that is going to be gallery request, and we will set it to some value like 2, and you could pass in the gallery request over here. And once this thing is done, we are good to go. So now the only thing which you need to do is that you need to go ahead and define the onActivity result method. So we'll go right below the image button click method, and we'll type in onActivity result. So this method is going to have as usual code. So in this we check for the result code and the request code. So if result code is equal to gallery request, actually this should be request code, and the result code should be equal to result OK. So we'll type in result code equals, let's say result OK. So if this thing is true, then we are good to go. So now once this thing is done, what we do is that we create the URI variable. So we will go right here, we will type in private URI, let's name this thing as URI as well, and we will set this thing equal to null. So this is actually going to store the image value or the path of the image. So once this thing is done, what we do is that we use this URI over here. So URI equals, and from this data we actually get the path. So we will type in data dot get data. So once we have it, what we do is that we use the image button and set it equal to this particular URI. So the first thing which we do even before accessing the image button is that we want to make sure that we have set up the ID for the image button. So for that, what we will do is that we will go to the post activity, and in here we have not set up the ID for it. So let's set up the ID as image button, and then you could return to the post activity right over here, and then you could have a reference to the image button over here. So even before that, let me just go ahead and create an image button. So that's going to be image button, and here we will type in image button equals and typecast it to image button, which is this one, and then type in find view by ID r.id.image button. So once this thing is done, we have a reference to the image button. Now we need to set the image button to the image which is now being selected. So the by default image which we are using here is this image right here. So when you actually select an image, this image should be replaced by the selected image. So for that, what we do is that we type image button dot set image URI, and we set the URI to this URI right here, which is the URI of the newly selected image. So once this thing is done, one final thing which you need to do is that you do need to go to the manifest, and in the manifest you need to set up the read external storage permission. So we'll type in users permission, and that is going to be read external storage. So this permission actually allows you to read from your gallery, so make sure that you do include this permission. So once this thing is done, we are pretty much good to go. So now let's save the app and check how this thing actually performs. So I'm going to save the code and run the application. So as you could see, the application is up and running, and let me just click this button right here. So as you could see, we are now redirected over here, and when I click this button, as you could see, it gave me an option. So I'm going to go to the file explorer, I'm going to go to the SD card folder, DCIM, camera, and this is where my images are actually located. So let me just quickly go ahead and select an image quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and select this particular image, and when I hit OK, and when we return back, as you could see, now the image has been set over here. And I actually did one simple mistake here, and that mistake is basically set the image view to wrap content. So what this is going to do is that it's actually going to set the image to the size which you have actually selected. So instead of that, you do need to set this to a fixed size so that you don't get this kind of error. So in the next lecture, what we will do is that we will go ahead and fix this issue, and that is we will set the image width and height to be a fixed one. And once we are done with this, we are going to proceed ahead with developing the app further. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.